How you doing, man?
Good.
It is nice to meet you.
It's good to finally meet you.
Yeah,
in person.
In person.
Officially. Yeah.
So, why don't you tell everybody what your name is and a little bit about yourself?
I am Brock Yurich, and I just moved to LA 2.5 months ago. I spent 8 years in New York, 8.5 years in New York, and then 2 years in Ohio for the pandemic. And then after 2 years, the world started opening up, and I was like, now it feels like the right time to go to LA. So, yeah, I'm a actor, filmmaker, writer. What else do I do? That's about it.
And where are you from?
I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and then we moved to...
We's who?
Mi familia. My mom and dad moved us to Dover, Ohio, which is 2 hours east. So I grew up in Dover, Ohio, till I was 15. Then when I was 15, my dad moved us to Florida. So I finished up high school and college in Florida. I went to college in Orlando, studied acting in college. And then after college, it was either LA or New York. So I went to New York to go get my ass kicked. And I was there for 8.5 years.
What do you mean by that?
There's a very general idea between like New York and LA. And it's like, New York is hard. And I kind of went with that idea. I was like, it really is like, if you can go to New York and if you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere.
That's that famous saying, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, come on, Alicia Keys. So that's really like that was the idea that I had. I was like, I don't want to go to LA. I want to not yet. And I was like, I want to go to LA with New York credits. I want to like come to LA after I've been in New York.
You want to be a New Yorker in LA. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
A little more prestige.
Yeah, but also it's not real.
Yeah.
That's like, people are obviously like, LA is like, I'm here now, so it's amazing, it's incredible. But I just wanted to go to New York. Every time I went to New York and visited, I went to New York a couple times in college, and I just got so excited to be there. It was so like walking into Hell's Kitchen. Like I stayed with a friend in Hell's Kitchen, and I was just like, so like, I want to be here. Yeah. And I had been to LA too, and I was like, LA's cool. I guess LA seemed scarier to me. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm lying to myself. Maybe I'm like, no, I was just scared of LA because it was so far from everything that I knew. It was on the West Coast, and it was so far. And New York just seemed so much more like, you don't have to have a car.
Right.
You can walk around. And I had a couple friends that lived in New York. So I felt like, so maybe I'm just like lying to myself, and I'm like, no, I wanted to go get my ass kicked. But I was like, it seemed like it felt like the right decision.
Yeah.
Another thing, I was doing a musical in Orlando right before I left. It was like my senior year of college, and I was doing a musical called Altar Boys. And there was a couple actors in that show who were from New York, who had spent time in New York and then came to do the show. And I was talking with them, and I was like, what is it like to be in New York? And they were telling me like, oh, it's so cool, it's fun, it's exciting, you do this. And I was like, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go next. I think that's where I'm going to go. And so...
And what age was this?
I was 22.
Okay.
22.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you were young, but you weren't like young.
No, just fresh out of college.
Yeah. Interesting. So you were drawn there. That makes sense. I mean, it is closer to Ohio a bit. It's probably somewhere you had been, which maybe was a little more familiar.
Yeah.
It's still a difficult city to move to. You know, it's a big jump.
Yeah. Yes, it was scary, but I was sort of in a point where I said, it's either now or never.
Right.
It just felt right. It felt right.
What did you want to do when you were imagining yourself there? You were doing a musical. What was you're this like bodybuilder kid from Ohio, right?
I wasn't bodybuilder-y. I was fit. Yeah. I was muscly. You know, I did like little fitness things here and there, but doing
musicals too.
I was doing musicals too. So yeah, I was doing that. But I really moved to New York thinking I was going to do, because we did musical theater in college. So maybe that's another reason why.
And what college did you go to?
University of Central Florida.
Okay.
UCF in Orlando. Okay. UCF. I thought I was going to go to New York, and I thought I was going to audition for musicals and be on Broadway. And I was sadly mistaken when I went into these audition rooms, And I remember sitting in an audition room, and
Big pond.
Nick Adams was sitting right in front of me, and I was like, I know him. I just saw him in Priscilla, and he goes into the room and like starts wailing,
just nails it,
wailing his face off, and I was like, I need to get out of here right now. I need to go home right now. I'm like, I remember,
he couldn't have let the less experienced people go first. They didn't just blow him out of the water.
No, he was like, he's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson today, kid. And I was like, yeah, lesson learned. I got it. But it really was like, and it was hard because you identify. I went to college for musical theater, and you just like, that's me. That's who I am. I'm a musical kid. I'm Rent, Wicked, all this stuff. Like, and then you go to New York, and for about a year, I really tried to do musical theater, and I was lucky enough to find a manager who just like she like believed in me, and I still have her to this day. She's still my manager, Serena Esposito. What's up? And I had to call her one day, and I was like, please don't send me in for musicals anymore, because I really want to like I feel awful after going into to audition. My voice was cracking. I was so nervous, and I got such bad feedback.
What was what were the nerves? Because you'd done it in college. Did you feel like you just weren't up to that level?
Yeah.
For singing?
You get in your head and you hear people make comments, and
what were the comments like?
Somebody made a comment about how I wasn't meant to be singing, and like someone said I was a terrible singer. Yeah, but like
constructive.
Yeah. But you like at some point
they Simon Cowelled you.
Yeah, a little bit. And you know what? It's totally fine. Like it got me to like and I know like sometimes, yes, you got to follow your dream, but also you need to know when like where your strengths lie. And I always felt so good acting and not singing. Like I was always, some people truly feel their most authentic self when they're singing. And I was so in my head when I was singing, because I was thinking like, I don't think I'm as good as this person, and I know what they're thinking. That's not fun. That's not a fun feeling. Whether I'm a great singer or not, I didn't feel good doing it.
You didn't love it.
I didn't love it.
Now, what got you into it then?
Okay, when I was in middle school,
you were better than the kids in middle school.
I was like the one kid that could sing. We did like a little.
It's like being good at football in high school and then realizing, oh,
dude,
I was at a small high school.
Yep. Like I was actually really like, and I think like years of weightlifting and screaming and bartending and all that stuff, like my voice is not like what it used to be when I was a kid. And when I was in middle school, and even in high school, I was like, I could belt, I could sing. I was actually like a good singer. And I just think like as time went on, my voice just didn't hold up.
Right.
And singing's fine. If somebody asked me to be in something and sing, I'd be like, okay, this is what you're going to get. Like I am not actively pursuing a singing career, but all of that training, all of that musical theater training and learning how a song, like singing a song, sitting there, all it does is help you become a better actor. And I used it to become a better actor. And I always felt so good, and I felt so secure, and I had the most fun doing scene work, and being comfortable in front of an audience, and just like living in this present moment with an actor.
It kind of reminds me of like when you see like a big actor who does like a musical, like Pierce Brosnan doing Mamma Mia. Mm-hmm. He's not a singer, but he did it, and it's probably fun. Yeah. But his main thing is acting.
Yes,
he can. It's not his main thing, but he can.
If you need me to sing in a scene, if we're doing a movie and you need me to sing, I can do it.
Versus trying to do that as like that's it.
I'm not doing what Nick Adams is doing.
Oh,
no. Yeah. So, but yeah, like it was
Shout
all
out to Nick
just,
Adams.
Yeah. So, that's like where I was at. And then I did, however, start going in for on-camera acting classes. And I was like, this was around the same time in early New York, my early New York days, I was taking online or on-camera acting classes and doing scenes. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it brought me back to my love of film and movies. Just like we were talking about earlier, when we were kids watching movies. This is kind of how I explain it to people. I remember when I was a kid watching movies and saying, I want to be in that. I'm not watching the superhero movies like, oh yeah, I'm Spider-Man. I'm like, no, I want to like
Be Spider-Man.
I want to be like, I want to be the actor playing Spider-Man. I want to be the actor like on set. I want to be in these movies. I want to be in where these movies are made. And then my friend and I, my best friend, childhood best friend, we would like take the video camera. We made our own version of Blair Witch. We made our own little version of like, you know,
Different things.
movies. We made stupid little movies. We would do like a fake newscast, and we would pretend to be news anchors and just be stupid and rewatch it and laugh. So being on camera was always like a really fun thing. And then you get into middle school, high school, where it's just theater.
Right.
So you're like, oh, I should be doing theater. And then you, after college, you're like, oh, it's not theater anymore. It's back to film. And because we didn't have film stuff in middle school, high school, college.
Right.
There was no film class.
School or anything.
There was performance. There was musicals and plays. So that getting back into film acting in New York was like, this is what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you started out as a kid in Ohio. What was that like? Growing up there.
What was that like? I don't know. I love Ohio. My goal is to buy a cabin in Ohio and die in that cabin. That's my goal. But not now, but like die like
Yeah, no, I would hope you. I had hoped.
I got
you
10
meant,
years left.
I hoped you meant in the future, far future, not like
I want to like
you're looking next week for a cabin.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go euthanize myself.
Yeah.
No, I want to have like I love Ohio. My family is all in Ohio, and I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid. I don't think any kid appreciates where they are as a kid. Like, you know, you're
Probably
too young.
not.
Yeah. So I was always dreaming of living in California and living in somewhere else and doing movies, and I'm like, stuck in Ohio. But it was we lived in the country. We had like the creek and we had the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had like I was so lucky to.
Were you outdoorsy?
I was.
Well, that was a big sigh. That wasn't very.
I was a good combination. My friend and I, we would spend the night at each other's houses, and he also lived in the country. He
So
lived
the
on
flannel is not. It's just an act.
This is bullshit. This is. I'm a poser. He lived on the other side of the town, but he also lived in the country. So half the time we were playing video games. We loved video games, and we were little 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids playing video games. But then also we would go and hike.
Right.
And we really would go, like we had the creek, and we would go spend the day out in the woods pretending we were ninjas and, fighting and jumping off of hay bales and climbing trees. I loved climbing trees, and we had like a little.
So you had a pretty normal childhood, even though you were out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was very, very lucky to I had a fucking great childhood.
Yeah. You weren't like, pushing carts on a farm.
No.
Yeah.
No. We did have a lot of animals, and I did learn a lot of great. I learned a lot of great lessons. Like, we had a lot of goats, and we had many dogs and cats. My sister was like a big animal kid, and we had 2 horses. So I remember getting up at 5:30 in the morning in like 3rd grade to go feed and water the goats before class. So I did some of that, and we did learn like the importance of taking care of things that you need to take care of and living creatures. And so that was always cool. I was always up around dogs. My parents, my dad would take dogs from the shelter and train them to be adopted. So that was a really cool thing. So we always had like, dogs from coming in and out. And, yeah.
So that's where you kind of develop. I know, just based on my limited knowledge of you, I know you have a passion for dogs and rescues.
Oh God, yeah, I know. I'm a fucking crazy dog
guy. So that's
guy.
kind of where you got it from.
Yes. You
got a lot of things from your dad.
Yeah, I did actually. And it took me a while to realize that. A lot of therapy to learn that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad's fucking great. I love him to death. But like every son and father, we had a rough time.
Yeah.
And we had a rough time because we are exactly the same. We are exactly the same. Like, it's scary. And I realize the more I get, as I get older, the more I'm like, oh, yep, yeah, we're exactly the same. But yeah, like he brought me to the gym. He was a bodybuilder, so I watched him compete when I was a kid. I would go to shows and just like see him compete on stage, which was awesome. And so he brought me to the gym and got me into weightlifting and taught me how to weightlift.
What year was this, or what age was this?
So he was I'm 33 now. So I was 10 years old when he competed. From ages 10 to 11. He competed for maybe 2 years. Okay. He was always lifting. He was always a big jack dude. But he competed in shows for a couple years.
Right.
So I was like 10, 11 years old when he was doing shows. And then when I was like 13, 14, we got Bowflex in the garage. So I was just like, I would try to look like Goku and Vegeta, and I was like, I wanted to look like a Dragon Ball Z character. And then when I was 15, we moved to Florida. So my dad moved us to Florida when I was 15 years old, and I was like, okay, I was always kind of a nerd in Ohio. I felt like I wasn't big into sports. I played video games and ran around in the woods. so moving to Florida was like, okay, this is a chance to start new. I can sort of let that weird, dorky, awkward Brock kind of go in the past. Here's my chance to start over. And so
Was that difficult?
I went down to Florida kicking and screaming. I hated leaving Ohio. Because by that point I had like learned to appreciate Ohio, and I had a good group of friends. Up until I was
what age was this exactly? Roughly.
So it was right before my sophomore year of high school.
That's hard though. You've already developed.
Sucked.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, because I had gone to different schools between junior high and high school, and it was hard, but it was like, after a bit there.
Yeah.
But if I had to leave midway through high school, I mean, you've already developed those relationships, and now you're just getting yanked out.
Yep. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. It was really, really hard. But like you adapt like that. You don't have a choice, and so you adapt really quickly. And so I just found I joined the swim team, and you fucking taught swim. Like you swam for how many years?
Oh God, I think when I started, I was in, I want to say 5th grade, and then I stopped. I was going into college.
Wow.
So I mean, it was that whole time.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot of swimming.
It was a lot. That's why I stopped.
Yeah,
it was a lot. It was too much.
I swam for one season.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I learned how to do the butterfly, and I was like, cool.
And I was the only kid who knew how to do all the strokes at the beginning of high school, so I got stuck with doing all the hard stuff. So I got like the IM, I got the butterfly, I got all the other things that were.
The word IM makes my stomach turn.
The 200 IM was my thing, and then the 500 free was my thing because I was the only kid who could go that far.
Yeah.
And I was decent. Well, no, I did club too. In the club, the 500 free isn't even a thing. It's the mile. You do the mile, so it's like 3 of them.
Ugh.
And you're swimming in an Olympic pool, so it's double the length, more than double the length. So it's like you have to. I used to kind of like that because I hated the turns.
Yeah,
you could just kind of glide as you're going through the longer like lengths. But I mean, there's nothing I loved the summers, swimming, practice in the summers and doing all that. Didn't love it in the winter. I didn't love being there at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and every day or every other day, and being sprayed with the cold hose to get in, like to force us to get in. They'd like spray us because we'd be like all kind of trying to wait, and so it was just this. It's not the most. It's like every other sport in that age group, junior high and high school, was like you do practice after school. It's like and they're doing like their laps and shit, but it's not like. We had to go. We're the only guys who had to go there before.
Yeah. Morning.
Do weights and swimming and then school. You're wet, that's the part that I didn't like. I didn't like being wet, drying off, sitting through my first 3 classes smelling like chlorine.
Yeah.
And then that was probably if I could take that away.
Yeah.
Go to a nice rich school with a salt pool, it would be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been so bad. I mean, it was the only sport where there's no cancellations. You could it'd be pouring rain, and I mean, I always love swimming in the rain because it's just kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But every sport, they come on the intercom: baseball practice canceled, football practice canceled, basketball. You're inside, and they canceled it, and swimming still on. It's like we're still there. Yeah. They have lightning, and you're supposed to cancel it, and the coach would be like, "Well, it's pretty far away."
Oh my God!
I'm like, there was a day when there was some kind of windstorm or something, and had knocked out the power, so that the pool was just like dead. It wasn't like circulating, and things had like chairs and shit had fallen in the pool. It had been blown from God knows where. Yeah. It had been like taken in, and
He's like, tough it out, kids.
No, yeah, no.
Get in.
Go dive down and grab it for us.
Yeah.
And then keep going.
Yeah.
Like it was the most like it.
That's how I would be if I was a coach, though.
It made me. Yeah.
That's how I would be. Get over
standing
it.
in your parka outside the pool.
Cry for me, kid.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I mean, it taught you dedication on the one hand. It also made me a lazy piece of shit on the other hand for certain things because it made me learn how to find loopholes. So if the coach isn't watching, maybe you just turn around right now. You know, there's different things. So that was the biggest thing. That was really the. That was the good and the bad.
Yeah.
It taught me how to do things I didn't want to do, and it also taught me how to get out of
things you don't want to do. Yeah.
So it was just one of those things. But I mean, I definitely it was a tough thing.
Yeah.
So I can feel your pain a little bit.
Yeah.
For that one season.
I got like one
Since
little
you
season.
left.
But
you were that kid that just like disappeared.
Yeah.
Where'd he go? Oh.
Well, I got a job at Gold's Gym.
Oh,
and
nice.
I just started weightlifting.
Yeah.
I was like, no more. I'm not doing any more, sports or anything like that. I just wanted to weightlift.
Yeah.
So that was high school for me was either practicing, like we did musicals in high school, and I was the president of the theater club my senior year. But
a lot of mixes of contradictions.
I know, but just, I like to say well-rounded.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like to kind of.
Did you tell your friends at Gold's Gym you had to go to theater?
Oh yeah, they came to my shows. I was like, if you don't come
funny.
see my
it's
musical,
it's such a clash of cultures.
Totally. Yeah, but like I also like I don't know if I was cool, but I was friendly,
right?
And I liked to be friends with a lot of different people. And there were the cool dudes that wore Abercrombie and they did football and everything like that. And I was like second tier cool, And I did musicals, but I also was like, I'm cool. I drank on the weekends with we went to parties and then I also like got my friends into the gym for free, so that was like that kind of gave me some points, yeah. So I had a great time. Like people talk about how high school was hell, and for me, middle school was hell. I got bullied mercilessly in middle school. I was weird. I couldn't connect with any of the boys. I was like friends with the girls. And I didn't know how to function or how to do anything.
Right.
And then I was like, I didn't play any team sports, but my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Riker, told me I needed to run track. And I was like, okay. Because he saw me doing, I was in gymnastics as a kid, like outside of school. It was like a little gymnastics studio, and I was in gymnastics and taekwondo. So they had nothing to do with my school. So nobody at school, I
knew you did it.
I was active, yeah. But like they didn't, there's something about like being on a team with your classmates.
Those sports aren't really in your social circle.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody from there like
that's how
went
swimming
to my
was
school.
for me for the first half, because the junior high, there's not a swim team in junior high.
No.
There's not a swim team in elementary school. There's not a swim team
High school, and you're swimming with your high school classmates. Right. And that's where you build that friend circle, and that friend circle gets really tight.
Right.
So it wasn't until 8th grade when I ran track, where I was running track with like a group of dudes, and they're like, "Hey, we're hanging out on Friday. You want to come over?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And then freshman year, I wrestled, and I became friends with the scary wrestler dudes, and I was like, they took me in under their wing, and that's when my dad was like, "Hey, we're moving to Florida," and I was like, "I just started making friends." And he's like, you told me how much you hate, being here. And I'm like, I don't now.
Yeah. Thanks for listening then.
Yeah. So he brought me to Florida, but it turned out to be great because I got to do a ton of theater in high school.
What part of Florida did you move to?
We went to Cape Coral, which is by Fort Myers on the Gulf Coast.
The SpongeBob camp?
SpongeBob camp.
The Camp Coral?
Camp Coral
or whatever that cartoon is.
Cape Coral. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like Camp Coral.
I lived in Bikini Bottom.
Yeah. Interesting. This just got weird.
Yeah. No. So it was Cape Coral, and then I went to high school in Cape Coral, and then I went to Orlando, and I was like, I guess I'm just gonna do theater in college. Yeah. That's all I was good at, and that's all I wanted to do. So I went to college for theater and in Orlando, and then after college, I went to New York.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got in my car. I went home for Christmas. I drove up for Christmas, and then New Year's, and then I drove. I found a sublet in Astoria, Queens, and I drove my car into Queens on like the day before New Year's. So I spent New Year's of 2012 in New York City with friends, getting fucked up. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
And then and then I got into acting class in New York. I learned about the Stella Adler program, and I was bartending, and one of my one of the professors from Stella Adler was there, and he was like, "So what do you do?" And I said, "I'm an actor." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "No, I studied acting in college. Like I'm a legit actor." And we were talking about playwrights and Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller and and he was like, "Oh yeah, so you do know what you're talking about?" Like, yeah, I know. Like I studied acting.
It's not just the default.
I'm not like, oh, trying to be an actor. I'm like, no, I'm legit. I'm trained. I know this is what I'm here for. So
it's like saying I'm a model. And what did you shoot? And it's selfies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Selfies. So I was lucky enough to spend the first summer in New York at Stella Adler, and that helped me. I was introduced to my manager through that. And so she saw me doing the work and, took a chance on me, and she's been with me to this day.
And just remind me what age this was.
So I was 20,
out of college, like 23.
23.
Yeah.
I just turned 23 in New York City. So I was at Stella Adler, and that's where I met my manager, and she took me under her wing and gave me a chance, and I've been with her to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're still with her now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. That's awesome. So how did your family feel about you going to New York?
They
just like
totally,
whatever?
yeah, they were fine with it. Yeah.
It wasn't like anything that was like, but did they have any kind of idea of what they wanted you to do, or were you just they happy with you?
No, they always supported whatever I wanted to do, and they came and saw my shows when I was in high school. They came to see some of the some of the musicals I did in college, and I never got any sort of flack like you shouldn't be doing this.
You said therapy, so that's why I was like,
well, I mean, that's not to say like that we didn't have turbulence issues. Yeah, we had lots. Everybody should be in therapy. It's a privilege. I know it's a very expensive thing, and it's something that like it's a very
this episode sponsored by
BetterHelp.com. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
But no, I was actually doing this is back in 2014. I did a short film, and I was on set in Harlem, and it was the movie was called 2 Days in Harlem, and I'm the only white person on set at that moment.
Yeah.
It's the cast was basically it was all black. I was the only white person in the cast, and it was a black written, black directed short film. And we're in Harlem, and we're shooting a scene where I'm playing a cop, and there's yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But a real cop came up, and this is not like it was fucking crazy. A real cop came up to the set and had his gun drawn and was screaming at everybody, and everyone on set, the cast, the crew, were like, "Dude, it's a movie. It's a movie. Like, calm down."
Because you were dressed up as a cop.
Well, we actually weren't. Here's the crazy thing: we were undercover cops, but that shit. There was 30 people there, all professional, with booms, sound booms, cameras. There's a fucking camera guy,
especially
there's a
in
director.
New York. You'd think.
So, and then when we actually had a real cop on set with us, and this dude runs up and pointing his gun at everybody and screaming at everyone. It was like, it's a movie. Dude, calm down. It's a movie.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't listen to anybody. And then the real cop comes up and says, "Hey, dude, I'm an NYPD. It's a set. They've done
there's a permit.
We have a permit. Everything's fine."
Yeah.
He was screaming at the other cop. This dude was a nut job, and he had his gun pointed at me for a long time. And eventually everything calmed down, and the guy got he went away eventually, and we finished shooting the movie. And then for a couple weeks after, once the adrenaline went down, right. I was like, it really, really kind of screwed me up.
Could have gone a different way. Yeah.
And my mom was like, "You could have been kill
Shot,
Brock.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and you know, my little stupid white ass didn't understand that. And
Yeah.
you know, everybody on set was like, "Yeah, welcome to our lives."
Yeah.
And I was like, it forever changed my point of view on like what, you know, on that issue. Again, like I know what I look like. I know the color of my skin, and I know that it's like these are very serious topics. But that experience really like it changed a lot of how I saw the world, and opened my eyes to like what the guy said. He said, "Welcome to our lives," and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks after, I really was like, I was nervous. I was really jumpy. I was waiting for the subway, and like someone would take, you know, I'd hear something, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing good. So
whatever happened with the other cop? Did the cop that you guys was there for you guys? He was just like, well,
he really, like, I mean, he did everything he could. He eventually, like, him and the crew, like, eventually, I don't know. They pulled me away. Like, they were they took, you know, he really had his gun on me for a long time, and they were like, come over here. Like,
what was the scene? Were you like?
We were yelling at somebody to get out of their car. So
yeah. Okay.
So like, somebody told this cop that like something was going down.
It's a carjacking over there.
But like,
thing,
it's
you know?
clearly not. Like,
Right.
There's 30 people.
With
like
the boom arms and everything
like,
else.
it's
Yeah.
a movie,
Yeah.
dude. And we're like, you know, we've got lights, we've got these. Like, it's a
yeah.
movie set.
Yeah.
And so he was like, someone said something's going on over here. I'm like, yeah, we're filming a movie, bro. Like, with a cop here. Scoot, you know.
Yeah.
And he was just it was the worst.
Well,
it was
that's why when you have the permit, they send if it's on the street, you have a cop there to
They literally did everything they were
direct
supposed to.
traffic and do
more.
everything. Yeah.
They did everything they were supposed to do and more. This dude just wanted to be, well, I don't know. I don't know what his deal was. He was going through his own thing. I have no idea. All I know is that they did everything they were supposed to do. They handled the situation. I had a gun on me for a while, and then after like the gun finally like went away, the adrenaline went away, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So I talked to a therapist about it, and my friend said my therapist is really great. So I went and talked with her, and then I just kept going back to her, and I went to see her once a week, and I talked about a lot of stuff, and just leaving that office just made me feel 10 pounds lighter. And we talked about everything. We talked about all this stuff, like growing up and this and weird, you know, it all goes back to your parents. Everything goes back to your parents and how you're raised. And you learn like a lot of things that I was upset about, the things that I was mad about. She just gave me a different perspective on how to look at things, and, you know, things that like, why did he say this? Why did he do that? And it was like, maybe he was doing this because of this. And I'm like,
oh. And it's someone neutral. It's not someone that, like, you know, you talking to your mom about your dad or talking to your,
Exactly.
It's like, well, you're in it. So it doesn't,
yeah. And it was great. But yeah, the therapy was really great. And I need to get back into it. Everyone needs to be talking to somebody neutrally and just like figuring out their stuff, because everyone's got shit.
Yeah.
But that's why we do what we do. And I write, and that's what, like, that was another thing for me.
So so you were acting, you were a working actor.
Well, working.
Well,
Working is a funny word.
you were indentured servant. No, you were, you know, essentially
trying to be a
free
working actor.
freebies work, free work. Yeah. No.
Getting paid with pizza.
Like,
we
believe
got
me,
lunch here for you
believe
guys.
me.
I'm like,
Believe me, I know. But the what did you always write though, or did you discover that you wanted to write your own? You know.
so
How did you come across that?
So my friend and mentor, Sean Palmer, he is a fantastic actor, and he really, when I moved to New York, he really like helped me navigate that world. And he always told me, write your own stuff, write your own stuff, write your own stuff. So I kind of always kept my ears open for stories that I wanted to tell. And I had read enough scripts that I sort of learned how scripts are written and how they should look and how they're structured. And I just kind of got bored sitting, waiting for roles to come my way and waiting for auditions.
You always hear that from actors. You hear, you know, I'm waiting for the right part. And your advice to them is write your own part.
Yeah. That was the advice given to me, and it was the best advice I've ever been given. Is like, no one's gonna write that perfect role for you. I mean, the chances of somebody writing that perfect role for you are like trying to win the lottery.
Right.
And so it was like you just take the matters into your own hands and you write your own perfect role. And I wanted to make a short film that where I was the lead character, and it was like a vanity project, and I wanted to show off how good of an actor I was and all that stuff. But once you like,
But you're that's every actor though. You're writing a part for you to be at your best because you're at your best.
Yeah.
It's not a vanity thing.
No.
It's just you happen to be writing something
like,
that happens to be perfect for you.
yeah,
You know?
And also,
Yeah.
I was able to cast my friends and hire my friends and let them show off too.
Right.
So it becomes bigger than you, and it becomes something that like everyone believes in and everyone's into. And I'm like, oh man, like it's like Field of Dreams. Like if you build it, they will come. It's true. If you just kind of create something, people will see it and they will believe in it. And then it's like, oh, now I have to follow through with this thing because my friend is going to play she's playing my, this part in the movie, and he's playing this part in the movie. And I hired one of my one of my college professors to play my grandpa in this short film. We flew him from Florida. It was the coolest thing ever. This man who I've respected and looked up to is at my house reading the script.
So back it up a minute though, and because if people go to your Instagram and see you and everything, they'll kind of see what you're talking about. But tell everybody who doesn't know you. So you were writing this project, right?
It was called T County.
Okay.
Yes.
So explain what it was too, because then they'll understand,
So
what you're talking about.
back in the day, back in 2014, 2015, I wrote and directed a little short film called T County.
It's almost 10 years ago. We're getting close.
Oh my god. Oh my god, 20.
We were talking earlier about how
Oh my god.
time seems to slip away very quickly. And if you look at things in terms of units of time, sometimes you don't realize how long you can dedicate yourself to something. So if a career or things that you're doing, and this is a project for you that you feel like, wow, that wasn't that long ago. But 2013, 2014, I mean, it's a year or two away from being 10 years. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my god. So almost 10 years ago, oh my god, yeah, I started working on this short film. And
let's say 8. Let's say 8, so he doesn't have a
yeah,
breakdown.
let's just say 8 years ago.
Let's say
so I just wrote and directed this little country drama, and it was T County, which is where T County, which is where we call what we call Tuscarawas County, where I'm from in Ohio. So I just wrote this little drama, and it was like a 20-minute short film, and I was really proud of it. And we shot it in my parents' cabin, and I wrote the story as like me and then my father and my grandpa and the three of us. And Sean Palmer played my father, my friend and mentor, Sean Palmer. So he was the one, he played my young father. And then, my Mark Brotherton played my grandpa, rest in peace. And and then Christine Cartel played my girlfriend. And it was a really cool little drama. I just wanted to do something and like make something. And so we did, and we did little film festivals, and it was really fun and exciting. And then from that idea, I took that idea, and my friend was saying how I should write a bodybuilding movie and blah 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 blah, and all this stuff. It's like, you need to write a bodybuilding movie, and I had been thinking about it, and then I realized I could take that short film and I could make the character a competitive bodybuilder. And then I took it and I wrote like the feature length version of it, and it was okay. And then my friend said to me, Brock, this is cool, but like, what's your story? Yeah. And so he's like, you need to go deeper into what you've been through and get a little bit closer to you. And I know that it's scary, it's vulnerable, that's very, very like, hard on your sleeve kind of stuff. But I did, and I sat and I wrote a completely different story, but this with the same elements, the same character, same setting, bodybuilding, and it turned into something really, really special.
Yeah.
And so that, at the time, it was called Test, and it's now called Cutting Season. And so since 2015, I guess, yeah, the idea was kind of born around 2015, 2016. and then and since then it has evolved, rewrites, and it's now, you know, today what it is. Reading that first script and reading the script now are two completely different movies, but they still have the same
that core message.
Yeah, the same core.
The thing that I found interesting about it, and when I had known about you when I was in New York, just because we happened to work out of the same gym, but I had known about the movie, and to be honest, we talked about this before briefly, but and you could probably expand on it, but a lot of bodybuilder movies or anything fitness related that's movies, it's like Generation Iron or things like that, or it's cheesy, you know, nonsensical stuff.
Yeah.
So this is something that's actually something that is emotional and a drama. It's set in this way, but it's really a story.
Yeah.
So why don't you expand on that a little bit? Just what you viewed it to be, what you wanted it to be, because you have more of a vision than, you know, just a guy at the gym being like, oh, let's make a movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's this is part of who you are, and I think that's what made it kind of a special thing.
Yes, I've seen a lot of stuff. We were talking about this earlier. I've seen a lot of films. I see bodybuilders being used as the punchline a lot. Mm-hmm. People sort of write them in to be dumb. They write them into movies to be the you know.
What was the movie we said was the one that was Miami? It was
Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain. Yeah,
it's fun.
It's fun, but
it's fine. It's fun.
It's very like not.
It's an action movie. It's whatever. You know, like, yeah, it takes place in the gym a little bit, but it's not that deep.
Yeah,
it's not that deep. And I noticed there are other bodybuilding movies that are kind of funny and kind of silly, and this just in pop culture in general. Like there was some commercial with a bunch of bodybuilders, and they're like protein, protein. I'm like, oh, like this is like whatever.
And I get it, and it fits that moment. But what you're trying to do is
I see that differently than like the general population. That's like bodybuilders are very, very smart. Bodybuilders are very dedicated to what they do, and they're very like there's more to it than that.
It always felt like too there's more to there's always something behind why they're so driven to do what they do. There's something that
it's craziness.
Well, that too, but there's
fucking crazy.
You have to be through a lot to put yourself through a lot.
They're trying to prove.
They're trying to do something. It's not just I'm at the gym. I want to be
something. They're trying to prove something. Yeah. And it is very, very deeply psychological.
There's a lot in there that every single one has to have something in there that's a reason why they're doing it.
Every dude on that stage has a fascinating story.
Yeah.
And there's something going on, and that's really, really interesting to me. And there's a beautiful movie called Teddy Bear, and it's a Danish film, and it's about this bodybuilder. The movie doesn't talk a lot about, it's not about like competing, but he is a competitive bodybuilder, and he is just looking for love, and he's very lonely, and it's such a beautiful movie. And I was very inspired when I saw that. But then I was also Black Swan and the Wrestler.
Black Swan's so good.
I have Black Swan.
Black Swan, if you have not seen Black Swan is a fantastic movie.
Please go put it on your list and go watch it.
Weird as fuck, but it's a good movie.
It's genius.
It's so good.
Black Swan and The Wrestler, both Darren Aronofsky movies. Both of those movies are my he actually Darren Aronofsky was going to write a movie.
Natalie Portman pulled me in. I was like, because I love everything she does.
Yeah,
but I did not know that was the same person.
He was going to write a movie about a wrestler falling in love with a ballerina. But he realized that it was too much for one movie, so he separated them.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he said ballet is like the highest form of art, and wrestling is like the lowest form of art, you know, in a general sense.
Black Swan is one of those movies that, and I'm sure you go through this when you're thinking of scenes and how to film things and write things. But Black Swan is one of the only movies that I can think of that there's a few. Butterfly Effect is another one too, where it viscerally gives me like an uneasiness.
Totally.
But Black Swan, that scene with her pulling the fingernail.
It's disgusting.
But it's something that I've had nightmares.
It took me years to watch that scene.
I've had nightmares of that happening myself because I always have those little things. I have
them right now.
Yeah, and I would always pull on them, and I'd always imagine what if it just kept going.
Yeah.
And that scene, if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, it's 10 years, but I mean, it is one of the most. It's a movie you have to see.
Yeah.
But there's parts of it that make you unsettled because it gets to a human psyche a bit in a way. Everybody's had that. You know those, I don't know what it's called, but there's those types of things that we all think that we think about that nobody else could possibly think about.
And then it's right there.
Everybody has that same damn
Yes.
thought. And that's one of them. It's like those that it's a very unsettling
Totally.
thing, but it was but it gave you an emotional reaction, a physical reaction too. It gives you, and those are the best movies, the ones that give you. There's other types of movies, but for that kind of movie, not only is it visually a beautiful movie and a really interesting movie and a well done movie and well acted and well scripted and wonderful, but it gives you a physical revulsion. There's a physical and it's not gross and it's not a horror movie like a chainsaw or anything. It's something like that, but it's just human. And it's such a weird thing, and that's to me, it's like a sign of a good drama. It's like a very good, unless it's some kind of historical thing. That's the kind of thing that really is. That scene.
I know.
I can see it right now.
But that movie is really one of my biggest influences. That's such a good movie.
That's interesting.
And that strive for physical perfection is just something that a lot of us, everybody can relate to. And whether you're, on that journey or not, you know somebody who's done this, or a bodybuilder, or
there's a degree, especially with more bodybuilding than anything else, because powerlifters they just enjoy what they enjoy and they do what they do. It's a similar thing but different in many ways.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding and what you do,
you're suffering 24/7.
Yeah, it's not. You're not eating as much as you can and doing all these things. You're suffering for months, for an hour. We were talking about for 15 minutes of spotlight, and to do something that takes that much energy and time and every single thing has to be on point. And you can also there's kind of I've always found it interesting because I'm into fitness in a way that's not that serious, but everybody to a degree looks at it and goes, okay, I need a little more here, a little more there. You're sculpting like clay, but it's not when I sculpt, I've sculpted before, real sculpt, for things, you immediately can take it off, you can immediately put it on, you can immediately, you have to kind of have a sliding scale over months and years and decades of what looks good, what doesn't. And if you do too much on one thing, then you have to do other things, and it takes months to go, it's such a long process. So there's that suffering and that it's almost like self-torture.
100%.
And so tell me a little bit about that. The movie is very much about that, right? It's very about the human side of it.
Absolutely. And that's why, that's why I bring up The Wrestler, is because that to me, The Wrestler is a perfect movie. You've got these guys that are doing, the most insane, crazy, they're putting on a crazy show and scream, and it's insanity. But then the lights go out and you go home, and it's, what does it look like when you're home alone, and how are you dealing with that? And that was you got this big hulking dude, but the movie really nailed on the head how lonely and how sad that is, and how that life can look when it's not stage time. And I was so inspired by that aspect of it for bodybuilding. That was so that's why when I talk about those two movies sort of really inspired those two movies inspired Cutting Season, because it's similar to how insane Nina wanted to be as a ballerina, how physically perfect she had to be, but also in The Wrestler, how you spend so much time in this boring, lonely life preparing for that one moment in the spotlight. And that's really what that's what I want to incorporate and touch on with Cutting Season. But there's also a lot of other things. We touch on religion, and we touch on sexuality, and we touch on being like sexually exploited and what that's like, and how far you're willing to go to support what you're doing. and there's substance abuse. There's all sorts of different kinds of substance abuse, and how that looks for this person versus this person, and what it's like to be stuck in a small town, and there's family relationships in there, and so we do touch on a lot of interesting things in this script.
And it's in a sense not an autobiography, but it's inspired by things that have been real experiences. So you're speaking from a place of experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not verbatim,
no,
but it's not also a fake character.
No,
either.
There are I love when bodybuilders.
It's a good mixture.
Yeah, we were having a reading, and I was keeping an eye on my friend who's a bodybuilder when they were like, the reader, the guy reading the stage directions is reading, and he's like, he does this, and he's cutting this, and the body, and I go, yeah, yep, and I'm like, cool. Yeah, it's like if I'm getting the nods, he was like, yep, this is exactly what it's like, and I was like, I know, I've been through it. I know, but I'm glad that he connected to that. And I didn't want bodybuilders to watch this movie and be like, this is not how it is. Because I'm like, I know I've done it. I've competed.
Well,
so
it is because I did. So yeah.
Yeah. So you can't, you can argue, but I'm not like somebody who's coming in, who's never done a show, who's going to just make it up as I.
It'd be impossible.
You can't do that. No.
You would have to, even historical.
You gotta know what you're talking about.
Documentaries or dramas that go through historical things, and they try and be as detailed as possible. They have experts that are paid to be there to be nope, they didn't talk like that. Nope, that's not how they said that word.
Exactly.
Nope, that's not how they didn't use that fork like that. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's when you're an indie film and you're trying to create it from scratch, you don't have the luxury of hiring you
got to do it yourself.
You have to do it. So it's good that you write what you know, because otherwise
it's fake.
Well, it's a movie about NASA, and it's a
I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. No. Yeah.
But it's interesting to me because I think that it's something that when we connected, I wanted you to talk about it, and to a degree of what you can share and what you have shared. But I also want you to I think what you don't realize is that a lot of people out there really would admire and look up to the fact that you kind of have blazed a trail for yourself and have done it. And so I think, what was the process for you you wrote the movie, which took a whole year, I'm sure, or longer.
Yeah.
But where do you go from there? Wow. So you're basically saying, I have to finance an indie film now.
Yeah.
And you're an actor. You're not. It's not. At least in my position, I have the equipment, and I would have to find an actor, and I could write something. But I would. How are you? You're a different position where you have to start from scratch.
Yep.
And that's daunting to people.
Yes.
So what would you tell to someone who's who you gave the advice? Well, write what you know.
Yeah. And then what?
Yeah,
it's just a script.
You can't just
I
give
wrote
me
it. Now what?
Yeah.
So this is where it becomes a question of how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
It's like everybody can write a script. Anyone can write a script,
right.
but it's like not everybody can make a movie. And so I wrote this script, and I got anyone who I could to read it and give me their thoughts, and people who I
when you mean by that is people that will.
I have also written things, or actors,
right.
or
people
writers,
in
or whatever.
That world.
And I was I'm an actor, so I work with actors, and I have friends, and I can text people and be like, hey, how we were talking earlier, I'm going to send you this script. I want your thoughts on it.
Right.
And so I had little I rented studio space at Shetler Studios, and I had my friends sit and read it for free, and we all sat and talked about it, and they would give me their ideas, and I took all those ideas, and I went back to the drawing board, and then I did a movie called Goat in 2015, and it came out in 2016, and that was with James Franco, Ben Schnetzer, and Nick Jonas, and that was a really, really incredible movie about frat hazing, and I was so lucky to even be a part of that movie. Goat. And it's really disturbing. And that movie is also very, very influential on cutting season as well.
That was around the time when there was a lot of those deaths and stuff too, right? Was that kind of that era of that?
I mean, the deaths have been around for a long time. Like frat hazing.
But it was getting a lot of attention.
Yes.
Around that time.
Yeah,
they remember
for sure.
that in the news. A lot of those.
The cinematographer Ethan and I became friends, and the way he shot that movie was so how I was like, if I ever make a movie, I want it to be shot just like that. And so I always wanted to keep Ethan in my, I always wanted to keep him on my radar because I just loved his work, and he's fucking genius. And so what changed the game for me was I was telling everyone about the script, and I was trying to get these readings, and I was just letting people know, planting the seeds, like putting it out into the universe, and just like seeing what happens. But what really changed the game for me was I came across a competition through seedandspark.com, and they teamed up with the Duplass brothers, and it was called the Hometown Heroes Rally. And it really was like, hey, do you have a feature film script that's set in your hometown that's unique and diverse and you want us to produce? Join this competition. And I'm like, oh my God, they're talking to me. Like, this is it. This is my thing. So for the next 30 days, I ran this campaign, and you had to raise a bunch of money and you had to gain a ton of followers. And the top 10 campaigns got to pitch their idea to the Duplass brothers, and the Duplass brothers picked a couple films to produce. So I, like a crazy person, I would stop people on the street and be like, hey, you open your phone and follow this campaign. I don't know who you are, but you're going to do it right now. They're like, okay.
This like jacked guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
follow this.
Seriously. Yeah. I was like, thank you so much. Have a great day. I was like, I was on Instagram. I was Facebook Live. I was on Instagram Live at 24/7 for 30 days straight. Like, I was not going to lose this. But that competition took my project from black and white to Technicolor. Everyone now knew about my project, and whether you liked it or not, whether you wanted to know about it or not, you were gonna know about it. And so many people responded so strongly to it. They're like, this is great. Like, this is my story. This is, oh my God, I know somebody who did this and who's involved. Like, this is great, Brock. I really love this. And so many people, like, really, like, I'm not gonna name drop people, but like people who were like pretty famous messaged me and supported me, and I was like, oh my God. Like, and so it was something really, really special. And through that campaign, that actually Ethan said, he was like, he saw how serious I was taking this, and he was like, I think this is really great, and I would love to film this. And I was like, you got it, dude. Like, I would be happy to have you. And he was one of the first people to come sit, like the cool kid coming to sit at the nerd table. Like he came in and he was like, hey, professionals, come check out this project. So he
gave it some legitimacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he came to Ohio and took photos of the gyms that I was at. And he really responded to the vision that I was kind of having. And so from there, I was able to build, to bring on awesome people. And today, now we have a plan, we have money, and we are working towards filming in November. So today, June 3rd, 4th, is it the 4th? Oh my God, is it the 4th? I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, 4th.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed that we film in November. That is the plan right now. But, it's just a plan. But I have faith. Yeah. It's going to get done. It needs to get done.
I mean, that's something that's like, it sounds like it too, that you had to get, if any discomfort about reaching out to people. That seems to be the spot where people stop.
You can't.
That's where people stop.
Get over it.
People will sit there and write. They'll sit there and dream about it.
And then they're scared to share it.
But they don't want to share it.
You know what you need to do? You need to sit in a room and have actors read your words and be cringing and be embarrassed and flop sweating because people are reading your innermost thoughts, and you get over it.
Yeah.
Or it don't happen.
Or don't do it.
Or don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it is scary. It's fucking scary. But like, your friends are not going to sit there and laugh at you. They're your friend. Like,
mine will, but I mean, I get it.
No, But you're like, come on, like people,
Yeah.
They're reading your diary. They're not going to be like, this is stupid. Like, they're going to be like, this is great, Brock. Here's how you make it better.
Well, and I think it's also smart because you did something where it's accomplishable. You didn't do it's not some kind of sci-fi thing or something where it's
I wrote about poor people in Ohio.
If you want to create a movie and it's
I'm not doing the next Armageddon, dude. I'm not doing
to the Rust Belt and find
I'm not writing Lord of the Rings, dude.
But I mean, but that essentially is you're stripping it down and going a more kind of where you came from, which was theater, and doing those things and focusing more on the human side of it. It doesn't require a lot.
No, there's no special
Camera,
effects.
some lights and some things, but to a degree. But
I knew that. I was like, I'm not going to get effects. I'm not going to get $10 million for my first movie. I'm not going to get $20 million for my first movie.
Because you were inspired by the parts of Black Swan that you could accomplish. There's parts of Black Swan that are a little more
Yeah.
elaborate.
The
But
wrestler,
same thing.
I mean, I don't know what the budget was. I'm sure it was a lot, but it's not.
most of it is pretty accomplishable.
It's accomplishable. It's like it's in Jersey. It's set in Jersey in trailer parks and little things and thrift shops. Like that's like if you can't keep my attention that way, then you probably I don't want to. Yeah, then I don't want to see it. Like that's what I'm impressed by as an actor. I want to see. I mean, like I want to see on stage two people on stage in a living room, just making me cry. Like acting. I want to see the stories, human
Actual
stories.
acting.
Yeah, super special effects and all that stuff is great. But like, what's like we're gonna go here
That's
to the
down
heart
the
and the
road,
human.
though. That's something that
That's the icing on the cake. If the story is not there and the human aspect is not there and the heart is not there, then it's just fluff.
Yeah.
It's just like special effects. And no one wants that.
Yeah.
Some people do. I don't.
Yeah. Well, when you're starting out, though, this is your first feature film. This is something you've acted in many things, but this is your first thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not unheard of for things to take this long. This is pretty standard.
Yeah.
And if you can't devote the time to it or won't devote the time to it, then it probably wasn't meant to be anyway.
Exactly.
And that's the only thing is like you have to kind of recognize that a lot of people, the reason they don't make it is because they give up
Yep.
too early.
Yeah. Honestly. And
He's on his 4th Diet Coke, essentially. Because you're not counting that as one. Those are multiples. This man's an addict.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This man's an addict. He's worried about a sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah. I was serious. If Diet Coke is watching right now, I'm your guy. Yeah.
I always thought they were like Apple. They were like, yeah, we don't sponsor.
No, they don't. They
We
don't
already
need,
hooked you.
They don't need. Have you ever seen a Diet Coke commercial? Wait. No, you have.
Yeah, but they're more. I've seen more Coke commercials.
They are Coke commercials. I'm lying. I'm full of shit.
But do you really?
They don't
Do you
need
see a lot
them.
of Starbucks ads? Do you see any Starbucks ads?
No.
They already hooked you. They don't need
That's
to,
true.
to sell you on it. They already your brain is like, I need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I got to your house, I was like, I need a Starbucks. And I was like, and I know once I get off the highway, I was like, there's gonna be a Starbucks.
I haven't seen an ad. I haven't seen a billboard. I haven't seen an ad.
No.
They just popped up and
Yeah. They're in there. They're
just wired you.
They're-
Rewired your brain,
we're
and
all addicted.
now you're done.
Yeah.
No, that's that is actually really interesting.
No, I'm not addicted.
Yeah. As he sips on
This is not Diet Coke though. This is like
this isn't.
off-brand Diet Coke.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is like
You know why? 'Cause
Diet
it's
Coke.
We ordered lunch. He needed to be healthy, and so we ordered some good food. But it's
like
it's one of those fancy Diet Cokes.
yeah, it's different, but it's still
It's like
It's fine.
It's on those. It's probably in one of those big things where they have like the old school thing,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
the beer looking things.
yeah.
The
RC
Diet Coke.
Cola or something
It's
different.
got to be like that. The craft cola.
Yeah, I'm like, just give me my Diet Coke.
Just give me that.
That'll be fine.
The
We're not trying to be fancy here.
We'll just give you cartons of it.
Yeah,
and
just a
load
barrel.
it up.
Just like yeah, seriously.
Just box that up for your birthday.
Yeah, for real.
So that's essentially where it came from. That the whole idea. It started as T County.
Yeah.
Then it moved to Test.
Yeah.
Then what?
Now it's cutting season.
Now it's cutting season.
Yes.
You brought in people.
Yeah.
Now this is your first time, I think, being on this side of things where you're having to work with other people. Right?
What do you mean?
You're traditionally you're an actor. You're hired for a job. You show up
yeah.
for the job. You do your job, and then you go.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you how do you deal with all of the extra?
Well, I guess I've been.
Have you had to learn how to deal with people?
I wrote that little short film T Count. I've been. The whole thing is all collaborative. Even as an actor, you are collaborating. Whether you're working with the director, you're working with the costume designer, you're working with this. So, and especially in theater, I have a theater background, so you really are like in it. It's
like a team sport.
It's a team sport, and I know that. Having that theater background is really great because it just gets you out of your head. You're not, you can't be shy. You can't be whatever. If something needs to be done, you go do it. You go help. And if you can, I understand that there's a liability. Sometimes I'm like, I want to go help, and they're like, you need to not get hurt, and you need to go over here.
Right.
And that's another lesson you have to learn is like you are. like, I tell this story. This is really funny. It was my first big movie. It was 2014, and I did a movie called The Outcast with Peter Hutchings, and it was a great cast. I mean, it was loaded cast. It was like a Mean Girls. It's on Netflix. The Outcast, and it was like my first movie where I had my name on a door.
You're gonna get so many people watching that. No.
Yeah. But I remember the costume, the wardrobe crew. Those girls were amazing. They were so funny.
What was it about? Was it kind of like
It was like a Mean Girls type movie, like the nerdy girls becoming the cool girls.
But like it was like a high school type.
High school.
Thing.
It was set in a high school.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
So we filmed over the summer, and it was so much fun. And I played a jock asshole, and I'll never forget, like, the one time I was sitting there and she was like, "Oh, you're sweating. Come here. I need to cool you off." And I was like, "No, I'm fine. You're fine." She's like, "No. You're
ruining my shirt.
You're getting paid." She was like, "You're ruining my shirt." And I was like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, like it was
I'm not
just
being nice to you.
it was like, and it was. She was. I'm not saying that like she didn't care about.
No,
me.
but I mean,
when
she was doing
like,
her job.
I almost was like, "Oh no, you don't have to." She's like, "No, it's the
No,
pit
I
stain."
do have to.
It was like, "Oh, I need to get out. Like, I need to stop thinking to myself. Like, I'm being like very egotistical and egocentric right now. And like, there's a lot
no,
more.
I'm fine, but I will take a Diet Coke.
Yeah. Put a Diet Coke,
like,
please.
yeah.
But it really, like, in trying to be nice and not being a problem, I
Right.
became a problem. It's just like
That's not a problem, but it's you were thinking of it as like,
I thought I was like, "No, I'm not like that. I'm not
Right,
needy." And she's
right.
like, "I need to get into your armpits because you're gonna have stains in the next scene. So
you're ruining my shirt."
yeah, please. Yeah, I'm ruining her shirt. Yeah. So that was a really funny moment, and that little moment really taught me. It was like, Danny Trejo I just read this little thing about how he doesn't do his own stunts, and he's like, "I don't do my own stunts because I'm not trying to hurt myself and shut the production down and have everyone be out of a job."
Right.
And when he put it that way, it's like, he's like, "I'm not trying to be a cool guy, do my own stunts, because that's a good way to get everyone, like, to shut down production if I break my leg and everyone's screwed."
There's a flip side to that, yeah, because that's you always hear Tom Cruise does his own stunts, Daniel Craig does his own stunts, or these people, even if they do have backups, sometimes they do a lot of really cool stunts, and it is cool, but there have been times when they'll break a leg,
and now you got to shut down.
And you got to shut down for 3 months.
Yeah,
and it's
I understand both sides.
There's two, yeah. It's like, and so because I understand even, it makes more sense if the person's really athletic. I guess it could make a little more sense because.
Yeah, I don't think Danny Trejo is very athletic.
Right. No, that's what I mean, though.
yeah.
I'm not going to ask like someone.
He might be surprising. Sorry, Danny.
But he's on the older side.
He's a bit more seasoned.
I would be assuming they would not do their own stunts. When they do, I'm really shocked because I'm like, what?
Tom Cruise is like a fucking lizard.
Yeah.
Like, hanging off of airplanes.
Possibly literally. So. Allegedly. Joking.
Yeah. We just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it is in terms of collaborating, like I'm working with my team, and that is one thing that I will credit myself is like you bring in one cool person and then they bring in another cool person, and like I have worked really hard on getting awesome people involved, and that was otherwise it don't work. So you have to get cool people involved, and so I have been working the past 4 or 5 years in a way to bring on people that I know are just awesome. And that is something that has made this project successful.
Yeah.
You bring in awesome people and you let them do what they do and you let them do their job. I honestly, people are like, "Well, what's going on with this? What's going on with that?" I'm like, I don't know.
It's their job.
It's their job. They're taking care of everything. And
delegating.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm
You're
like,
not micromanaging.
I'm the fucking, just like, y'all have the script that I wrote and just let me know when we're starting, because they are the ones that are like doing the real serious.
Well, you trust them to do their job.
Yeah.
If you don't trust them to do their job, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you trust them to do their job, then you don't need to sit there over their shoulder.
Totally.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, it's really something that's like, it's daunting because of how much work you've put into it. So if someone was listening and being like, this is something I really want to do, you're not going to lie to them.
Baby.
You're not going to lie to them and say, "Oh, this is no problem."
You give up a lot. You sacrifice a lot. But like, yeah, that's just, you either want to do it or you don't. And some people come up to me and they're like, hey, I think I want to be an actor. I'm like, well, that's right there's your first problem. I think I kind of want to be an actor. No. I either am an actor or I die. Like, that's how you have to treat this. If you can do anything else in the world, go do that.
Well, and the main thing for that too is because there's so many people that are that or die.
Yeah.
That you're never gonna be. It's just not gonna happen.
You either 100% in or you're not. And it's like, you can't just. I mean, yeah, like you can, but I don't. It's a hard thing to do. And making a movie is even harder. They both suck. They suck. Like they're fucking. It's a hard.
It's business. A lovingly suck.
It's fun when it's happening.
Yeah.
Acting, being on set is awesome. Getting to set is hard.
Well, putting it together too, because you're having to put together so many things. People don't realize how many people it takes to make a movie, even a small movie. It
and they don't
still
realize
takes
how
a lot.
Expensive it is. Mm-hmm. Like, oh well, you've got this money, you could do it now. I'm like, no.
And so you had to go get investors.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yes.
And go through that whole process.
And we're still in that process for sure. But yes, like it is not cheap.
Yeah.
To do a movie.
Even a small one.
A small one. Yeah. Or music. I mean, how much do music videos cost?
It depends, but they can be anywhere from 50 to 500,000 for a day.
For a day.
That's the other thing. It's a day. It's one day. There are cheaper ones that we prefer not to do those anymore, but because they ask for the same amount of. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that they ask for a $20,000 job, they still want it to look like a $100,000 job, and it's like, well, then that means we have to put our stuff into it, and then we're losing, and then and then there's, especially in music, we talked about this a little bit. There's we've worked with people in the past and recently that are not only are they ungrateful and rude, but they're you are
ungrateful. You are rude.
I'm not going to use the word clown bitch, but I'm going to say that you're takers. And a lot of artists, see, that's the difference between music to me and film, is actors love, for the most part, love what they do. They love to be an actor. They love the characters. Artists, unfortunately, the ones that rise to the top often are there for the fame and the money. Musicians and stuff. There's people who love music. They love what they do. They love, they love just to create music and be artists. But it's the system that has been developed, at least what I'm noticing more and more with younger artists that I'm seeing, they're just awful. I'm not even, you know who I'm talking about. So they're not good people. They're rude. And the people who do deserve it are languishing at the bottom.
I know.
And it's something that I really am shocked by, because I'll see people that deserve so much and they don't ask for anything. They don't say, they just go, they put their head down, they work. And then there's people who don't deserve shit and they ask for more and more and more, talk about how broke they are, even though they're broke because they haven't done anything yet, and expect everyone to just dance around them and do work for free and do everything for them and do, go get me this, go get me that. You aren't J-Lo.
Yes.
J-Lo can ask for whatever the fuck she wants because she has money. She has this is turning into something else. But
she is.
this is a nerve.
He is heated.
So there are people that provide. It's a concept. It's called an economy. You provide jobs for other people because you create income. When you don't create income and you just suck the label dry, you don't earn anything. You don't get anything. When you expect to take credit for things that you did not do. We had an artist recently try and take director credit from the director that I work with. And it's very odd to me that you think that you can just take credit for something that you didn't even do. When people tell you no, you do it anyway. But I mean, it's the reality though, is that you have these people, and this is why I respect actors so much more, most of them, because they have a love for what they do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They have a love for their talent and their craft, and other industries have been warped a bit. You get warped by views and TikToks, and you get warped by how many streams you get on Spotify, and it becomes very
it's like not about the music
It's
anymore.
not about it anymore. It's about just it becomes dead.
Yeah.
And
It's a business. It's a
there's
money thing.
there's no indie artist out there at a label. They're either doing their own thing and just enjoying their life, and those people aren't making music videos really.
Yeah.
So you're in a unique position because you have this love for what you do, but you've expanded it beyond that, and that's what's I think really interesting. That's what I really admire because it's you have you have an opportunity to tell your story, act your story, reach people that maybe have been through similar story, and that's like 3 really cool things.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm grateful every day that that people have seen what I'm doing and want to help make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's like another thing when I hear people talk about being self-made, I don't understand that because there's
it depends on who's saying that.
Well, yeah, but like the concept of being self-made, it's like someone had to help you along the way.
Right.
That's not no man is an island. No one is self-made. Like you can come up with the idea, you can work really hard, but I don't know, like I feel like 99% of the time someone's got to take a chance on you.
It takes a village of some sort.
Yeah. You can even if you could come up with an amazing product, but if no one buys it, then you are just someone doing the product.
And self-made too has been kind of warped in a way that because self-made used to mean like I started from working class and I've built something. That doesn't mean you didn't have help or you didn't have connections and people you work with. It just meant that I started from. A lot of people now are
humble
saying
beginnings.
they're self-made and they're starting from. You know, their parents are worth $300 million.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you're not really.
No,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's your life, and that's great that you succeeded with what you did. But
if I were sitting there having a conversation with them, I'd be like, no, you had a lot of help.
Yeah.
And that's, yes, you're the face of whatever you're doing and you worked really hard, but like, I don't,
you're self-made and you had a TV show. I mean, it's like,
yeah. And then that's the thing is like, it's like someone just with like you are an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But unless someone casts you in something, ain't nobody going to know. Mm-hmm. And
that's my problem.
Yeah.
No one's ever casted me.
No one's ever cast you in
and
anything.
I'm fantastic.
He is good.
An Oscar level. Mm-hmm. Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. But it's going to be a talent that I take to my grave.
Just let it go.
I'm the opposite of the coin. I will never put that work in.
Yeah. I just don't want to.
I will not be having my friends make fun of me at a reading.
Yeah, no.
There's going to be. No, but I mean, that's.
You've never had your friends make fun of you at a reading, and it shows.
They make fun of me anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't need it then, too.
Yeah.
No, but there's like, you have like, you have all this experience now, though, because when you do film this movie in November?
Hopefully.
Okay. So when you do film it in November,
yes, we're filming in November.
I'm like,
putting it out of the universe.
Strike 2, let's go.
Yeah, Brock, you're filming in November.
Hello.
I'm like, oh yeah.
When you do film it, then, and once you get through it and it's released and it's out and people love it, the next thing you do will be better.
Yeah.
Because you have all of this experience
and
you have these connections.
Yes.
So in the sense that you are self-made, in the sense that you have, because I'll push back on that and say that you are self-made in the sense that you are the one who's driving the ship, right?
It's just semantics, I guess.
Right.
Like,
it's
that's
completely from where, like you said with therapy, it's where you're looking at it from.
Yeah.
It's not I'm this, hot shot.
Yeah.
It's saying, but it's important because, to me at least, so many people would have stopped at the reading. They would have stopped at just writing it. They would have written it, maybe not even finished it.
Yeah.
And if people are listening to you and want to hear, certainly there are going to be people listening to this or listening to you and wanting to be in your shoes, have a movie, make your own thing. And they need to know how much work it's going to take.
Yeah.
And either prep yourself for it or stop dreaming about it if you're not going to put the work in, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen if you don't put all that work in. Mm-hmm. And so you've only given me a fraction, I'm sure, of all the ups and downs and things that you've gone through and setbacks and things that have gone well. I'm sure there's been things that have been great, but I'm sure there have been setbacks, and many people would stop.
Yes.
So
That's just not an option, though.
it's important though for people to hear that, because I think, especially with social media and things on Instagram, and they see the successes. They see all the, move to LA, filming in October or November, filming,
But no, yeah.
but
that's
don't
like,
see
they don't see me like
having to deal with things not working.
Waking up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, like it's totally 100%. It's really interesting to see, like, yes, it is really crazy. You really do like I remember recently 3 things that I filmed came out around like a month and a half of each other. Mm-hmm. And they were like, man, Brock, you're killing it. And I was like, I filmed those things 1 year apart from each other. This thing filmed 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and 1 year ago. I had one job a year apart from each other, and they all kind of came out around the same time, and people saw that as like me crushing it.
He's just crushing it.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm like, you're just doing all this stuff, and I was like,
not really.
That's how it looks, but it's not. It's really like, it's a lot of dead time.
And people in that position, if they were put in the same position as you, maybe wouldn't be as willing to continue. I mean, I've been in that situation, and I know. I mean, I've been doing what I do now I've done different things for different longs, but let's say I've been working in this industry for 9 years. Mm-hmm. And the amount of free work, dead end projects, things that I've put work in that never came out.
Totally.
Things that wasted my time, things that, ended up being different than I assumed, things that I regret doing, or things that I wished I did differently, but also just plain amount of work that I put in that never went anywhere would be enough for most people to want to quit. And I think I'm lucky that I didn't, because now I'm in a position where I feel like things are starting to, it's like right there. I don't want to be like, but there's things are going in the right direction now, finally. Out of that, I always joke, it's like Candyland with like the gumdrop muck, whatever that thing. It's like you're stuck in it's like, I'm almost there. I just want to get over here. And that is something that, I think a lot of people give up on. Because I've explained to people before, I'll like, at least when they ask me, oh, how do you do this or how do you do that? And I'll tell, there's no secret. I'll tell you exactly what I do. And then they're like, oh, okay. Well, you can see the light, like, kind of like,
dim a little bit. Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's not really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, if you don't have that, then just don't bother. Yeah. Do something else. I'm sure there's things that you'd love to do.
Yeah.
But it's not this glamorous thing you think it is. It's not just red carpets and rap parties. Yeah. That seems to be all that ever gets imagined. Yeah. And I'm sure you could speak to that for actors too. Just strict actors, just people who just want to act, that they don't want to create movies, they just want to act. Yeah. That's also difficult.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm too much of a perfectionist. I'm like a control freak. I'm like somebody who just, I can't, some people can kind of just like, it'll happen. You just keep doing the thing. I'm like, I need to do stuff. I need to make things happen. Like,
do you get that from your mom or your dad?
My dad.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. My mom is so chill, and my dad's like, we're going to do this, and we're going to, start a business and all this stuff.
Because you had said that everyone is their parents. So
I am my father. If you're 100%. I wish I had the calm, cool demeanor of my mother. I have the intensity, and I have the I don't know what it is of my father is like
the go-getting it.
Yeah. Just like, he's gonna do this and he's gonna start that and he's gonna get you hyped. You leave my father, like, you talk to my dad, you're gonna want to start a business afterward. You're gonna like, I'm gonna get on a new diet and start a business.
I want to start a movie. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Just
seriously.
talking to you.
Yeah.
No, I mean that is something that it's a good thing you passed on.
Yeah.
The
totally.
Intensity. Things that you want is your mom being more flow with the go is
flow with the go.
Yeah. Is always I always mess it up. So I just stuck with it.
We're going to flow with the go.
I just stuck with it. But that's like, that's a good trait, but for what you're trying to do, the intensity is good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wouldn't go up to people and ask them to follow them and follow their thing and do that's not, no.
Yeah.
Your mind.
Yeah. Or do it in a way that's like not, I mean, like there are crazy people. Yeah, there are crazy people out there that will do like, some effed up stuff, but just walk the line. You gotta toe the line of like, you gotta be a little crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little crazy, not like ooh
Well,
crazy.
hey.
Like
we're
crazy.
not talking about psychotic, like
No,
my former
yeah, that's what I mean.
employer.
You're not trying. You don't want to be like,
about-
oh
yeah,
god.
yeah.
But that's the same. Like that's like goes back to bodybuilding. You got to be a little crazy. Like if you want to be a successful bodybuilder, you got to be a little crazy. You got to be like not afraid to get people stare at you at the gym when you're screaming because you're squatting so much. You got to like not. You
Not
can't,
even that. You're on stage in front of a crowd.
You can't. You're gonna walk on stage in your underwear.
In your underwear.
And
less than underwear. It's pretty skimpy.
He is pretty small.
Yeah.
And it's such an exposing. I mean, you were literally just exposing your entire body, and it is something that just
And not only that, you're standing up there with people who possibly look better than you.
totally, yeah. And then, oh my god, going backstage
It's
in a
the
bodybuilding
worst
competition,
nightmare.
you're like, you feel real good about yourself, and you're like, I'm going home. Like I see this guy, he's gonna win.
Yeah.
I've already just lost. I haven't even gotten on stage, and I'm gonna lose. Yeah. It is awful. It's an awful feeling. But then some guys have it, and they're like some guys. And women, some men and women, fucking feed off of that shit. They love that shit. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. That dieting and starving yourself. Some of these competitors,
It's like a masochistic thing. Yeah.
they love it.
Yeah.
And I don't. Like I'm crying to my coach. I begged my coach to let me quit the last competition I did. I was like, if you tell me that I don't have to do this, I will go to McDonald's in 2 minutes. Right now. And he was like, you're doing this. And I was like, fuck. Like, okay, fine.
How do we work this into my program?
Yeah.
How do we?
Oh my God. That last competition I did, my last prep was so hard. I could not lose weight. My body was just holding on to this weight, and it held on to this. Like, you have to make weight or you don't go on stage. And at least in classic physique, because it's height. They go by your height and your weight. So if I'm 5'9.5", so unless I am like, if you're 5'9.5", you must be under 197, okay. Or you don't go on stage, because like it's just it's not just weight. It's not just like
It's proportionality.
It's height and weight. So if you are this height, if you are between 5'10" and 5'11", you must be under this weight. And so for classic physique, I was like, if you're not under 197, go home.
Right.
So I was like 203, and I was
on that. People just left.
I'm sure. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never witnessed it. But
Because that's even tougher to go through with it, knowing that this is just
that's
seeing
how
someone and just being like, well,
but that's how no. I've never seen anyone go home because they were like
third.
I've never seen it like people still go on stage. Like, you've gone that far.
Yeah.
You're gonna go
You
on
get
stage.
your individual
You're not
moment.
gonna leave after like just because there's a guy that looks better than you. You want to, but you just don't.
You want to.
I'm sure someone
You've
has.
committed. You checked in.
Like you spent that much money to enter this competition.
Well, you have to spend money to enter them. Yeah, it's not cheap.
Oh my God, bodybuilding's so expensive.
It's one of the most expensive. Not the most expensive, but you spend a lot of money and the payoff is not.
I will say though, if you are a trainer, it's a good investment because you can charge more. You'll get more customers. You'll get more clients. People will see that, and they will.
Well, you'll get specific clients too. You'll get people who want to do that too.
Yeah,
and charge.
You'll get body people that want to do shows, or you'll just get people that like see how fit you got, how shredded you got, and they say, I want you to help me. So it is an investment if you are in that world. But oh my God, for men it's expensive. For women, it's 10 times more expensive.
Why is that?
Because women get the fucking shit end of the stick in every aspect of life. Like, it's like, men literally walk on barefoot and the little Speedo.
Yes.
Women,
it's a whole thing.
They expect them to have
hair done,
4-inch lucite heels. Their hair must be done. Their makeup must be done. Their swimsuits cost $500 to $700.
What?
No, I'm not kidding. Those rhinestone. Yes, dude. They are not cheap. It's so shitty. Women will spend $1,000 for that day, and a man spends. It is also
it's
expensive,
not cheap, but
we are literally it's a joke compared to what the women have to do and how much they prep, and like they have to get their hair done. And dudes are fucking bald. They do nothing. They walk on stage literally barefoot, and these women are like in heels.
Yeah.
Like they're.
I always noticed the hair thing. I never noticed the heels being all the same though. That is true.
Oh, they're like there was women are up to here.
Yeah.
It's so they
so
have it's like what did Ginger Rogers say? It's like I do everything that Fred Astaire does except backwards and in high heels. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just that. It's like it's a hard thing to do, but it is very rewarding afterwards to have that photo of you on the wall.
Oh yeah,
looking
your best.
The best you could ever fucking look is a really cool thing to have.
Yeah.
So that's what you do it for. You just do it for the fun. You do it to celebrate afterwards. You go out and you eat every taco and burger you can find, and then you just like move on.
You're doing this movie, so this is kind of why you had said before that you've been, because of COVID and everything else, you've been kind of staying in shape for the movie.
Yeah.
So you had been, thinking, 3 months from now, okay, nope, 3 more months. Nope, 3 more months.
I've been physically preparing for this role for a long time.
Stringing yourself along for a bit.
Yes.
But will you continue to do it after?
That's a good question. I get that question a lot. And I think once we're done with cutting season, I think I will sort of ease up.
Just be fun bodybuilder.
And I'll still train my clients and everything, but I won't put so much pressure on how much space I take up.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be, eating so much, and I do want to, slim down and not, I don't want to limit myself with roles in terms of how big I am. And my manager and my agents are always like, "You are too big," and I'm like, "I know. That's the point. I know. I promise you. I swear to God, I'm gonna slim down. It'll go away soon. Let me do this movie." I know how big I am. I know. Well, trust me.
Yeah, especially
it's gonna go away.
With actors, because they tend to be on the shorter side. You're already on the taller side of many actors. Not all of them, because some can be. But I know some actors that are like, I know many actors who are in their 5'6", 5'7". So you're 2 inches taller and you're bigger.
And you're bigger. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
I know
that 2 inches on camera is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's nowadays it seems to be there's more people in the 6 feet range, but like there's
I'm pretty short compared to like the
younger
dudes that I'm going up against for roles. I'm like,
God
damn, these fuckers are tall.
6'4", but I know a lot of them who are in the 5'7" range, but when you're skinny in 5'7" and then you're next to a 5'9" guy who's bigger than you, it's like substantially.
Yes.
The contrast.
Yes, totally.
So I'm sure they will be happy when you're done with this movie.
Yeah. And
how long will it take you to film? Are you expected to film?
Probably 4 to probably 5 weeks.
Seems okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say months. I was like,
no. We're going to shoot quickly, and we're probably going to film. Right now, we're talking about filming in Pittsburgh and making it look like Ohio. We'll get some outside shots of exterior shots. But like Pittsburgh has a really great film. Film tax incentive, and one of our producers has a lot of connections in Pittsburgh. So
you want that kind of Midwestern cold, bleak feel, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're doing it in October.
Yeah.
November.
Yes. Yeah. So that's really the
November
the films.
Will be, that
gray,
that gritty,
cold, kind of, gray, yeah. And there's a lot of there's a lot of industrial, in the Northeast Ohio and in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of steel mills and rundown factories, but there's also a lot of green. There's a lot of woods, and it's such a beautiful textured, exterior sort of outside place, and that's why I've always wanted to film my movies in this area, is because there's something special about that spot and about what that looks like, and that's why I filmed T County in Northeast Ohio. The cutting season is set in Northeast Ohio. The next script that I'm working on, I wrote a script called Pitbull, and that's also set in Northeast Ohio. So I'm just gonna make everything in Northeast Ohio.
Everything in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean,
yeah,
you can make like a trilogy.
That's kind of my you kind of want to have a certain vibe to your project. You want to have a certain aesthetic. You want people to recognize. Like Quentin Tarantino. You watch a Quentin Tarantino movie, and it's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
You have these different directors that just kind of like the thing. Like they have their own style, and so that's just what I like. That's what I know.
I always love how saturated his stuff is. Always it's film, but it's very Technicolor looking. And rich and it's neat.
So I like those are the kinds of just you really do. You write what you know, and what I know is Northeast Ohio, and I know these stories, and that's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. So you're always thinking of the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So after like this, you have plans for Pitbull.
Yeah, during COVID, the world slowed down a lot, and I had this time that I spent like 6 months at my parents' house, and I had nothing but time, and I would go and I would get on my bike and I would just bike around the neighborhood, and it was such a rare moment to just like not be thinking about what's going on in New York, what's going on in LA, what's going on, our auditionings, and like nothing was happening.
Well, because it's almost like everyone was forced to stop, so you weren't missing anything.
There was no FOMO, and it was
amazing.
I don't mean to say like
sorry,
it wasn't. No, that aspect of it was
yeah.
amazing to not feel
Not
like
the
I
dying.
had to do it.
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah,
no. Use your brain.
No,
It's
see,
not,
but I just I know that that's not everybody's experience. Everyone was like, oh wow, you were having lovely bike rides. I was saving lives, and I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, but
I took that time.
The majority of us were unemployed and had nothing to do, or were not even allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not a nurse, and I don't know how to save lives.
I did my part.
Probably would make it worse for you.
Yeah, I did my part by hanging out at my parents' house and going on bike rides.
I did what I was supposed to do,
Yeah.
and
So I had this time to sort of sit and think about what I wanted to do after cutting season. And I was like, I'm just itching to write. I'm itching to because there was nothing really more I could do.
You weren't pulled anywhere. You were just able to sit down and write. Yeah, and it was great. It was a great moment. I learned a lot of new techniques and retouching, and so because otherwise I was going to go either insane.
Yeah.
But like if it was right now and I had nothing to do, I would be like, oh well, there'd be something pulling me somewhere. It was a moment where, despite everything else, it was something where I can make the best of this.
Yep.
And come out of it a little better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I knew I was like, after out of this, I want to come out with another script.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm going to be hanging out doing nothing for this long, I need to be doing something. And so I do a lot of work with dog rescue. I'm a big dog rescue advocate, and so that's why I knew my next script was going to be something like that. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about what the kind of story I wanted to tell, and who the characters were and what was going on. But I came up with a script called Pitbull, and it's basically, the short version is, there's a high school wrestling coach finds a pit bull and saves, like, it's been left to die.
Yeah.
He saves it. He takes it home, and he's got all of his own issues. And so the dog and him bond, and then the dog goes missing, and he has to kind of go and find the dog, but it's much more intense than the way. I don't want to give away too much, but that's the premise. Guy's trying to find his dog.
So you've kind of that's something that I knew about you just from seeing on your Instagram. Anybody that goes there will see you're really passionate about dogs and rescues. So where did you develop that?
I guess as a child, I was around a lot of rescues, and my dad would take rescue dogs from the shelter and train them to be adoptable. Oh. So that was a really fun experience. I have a lot of very strong opinions about the way that dogs are treated and breeding and all that stuff. And I think there's a lot of things that go on behind closed doors that people don't know that really like, it's like I can either sit here and get mad, or I can do something and help. And so a few years ago, I fostered a dog, and it was the fucking best thing I have ever done in my life. Not like hanging with that dog for 3 weeks and finding it a home was the best feeling ever. And I cried my eyes out the night that I took him to his forever home. I cried so hard. But it's like when, it's like people are like, oh, I how do you foster? I could never do it. I'm like, well, that's why dogs die in shelters. How sad for you.
I almost got to like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I almost got one. She actually got adopted, so it was
good.
Great. But
that's
it was a second husky, and I was like, I think I'm gonna keep her.
Oh my god.
It was adorable.
Oh my god.
I'll show you later. She's adorable. It was like, and I saw her, and I sent it to to a few people, sent to several people, and was like, not like, I didn't put a caption or anything. I just sent it, and it said like, you know, needs foster, needs rescue, and I had the eyes, the two eyes, like, and I was like testing the waters. They were like, you know, we're gonna be gone, right? I'm like, but it's only a month,
Yeah.
and I can keep her for the rest of her life,
Yeah.
you know. But she was, they reached out to me like a couple days later, and she was a similar age husky to the one that I have.
Yeah.
Brown and white.
Yeah.
And he's gray and white, so super cute and blue eyes and gorgeous. And she wrote me in the morning, and I got back to her in the afternoon. And by the time I got back to her, they had someone adopt her. So I was like, well, that's fine.
It's I was like, sad but good.
Yeah,
very
good.
Good.
It wasn't a problem. It was just I was like, but I almost had gotten attached already.
Yeah.
I hadn't even like met her, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was adorable.
Yeah.
It was just like I think it was a she.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And I already have a boy, so I was like, well, I could get a girl, and we have fun. And it's not, they're like, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, the timing didn't work, but it was just funny. I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah.
Are you? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, foster, like I fostered a few dogs, and I've it's just, it's the best thing. And then, you know, I moved to Ohio, and then I was at my parents' house, so I couldn't foster, and I moved into an apartment where I wasn't allowed to have dogs. So I started a little YouTube channel called Brock and the Dogs, where I would go to the shelter and I would do videos with dogs, and it was the funnest thing ever. It was so fulfilling. So, you know, as my life progresses, as time goes on, I want to foster again. I want to move. My goal is to like live in a place where I can have a dog, and be able to bring, you know, foster and find them homes, because it's fun. It's so fun to just like have this new experience with a new dog, and you know, it's been in a bad spot, and like just to you know, to have people, I don't know. It's just a great feeling, and a lot of people will be like, you know, like, how can you do that? I'm like, you have kids in college. Do what? Like hang out with a dog for a month and find it a great home?
They foster human beings.
Yeah. So it's just people. I think people think they're being cute and they're being funny, but I'm like, I kind of take this very seriously, and you know, it's like if you can raise a child for 18 years and then send it off to college, you can hang with a dog for a month and find it a home. Yeah. You'll be fine. I promise. You'll be sad for a night. So are they asking
how can you do it? Why are they asking that?
People say no. They mean like, oh, how could you foster a dog? I'd get too attached, and then I would have to cry. Like I'd have to do this. Like it's like you're already coming up with excuses to not foster.
Right.
So like,
because I could see it being a difficult moment, like you said, when you have to give her away, but she's also going to someone who's keeping her.
You
so it's
know
a good
that
thing.
from the beginning. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So, but people just like people.
But they're
really,
giving themselves an excuse.
They're just people. Don't understand. It's like there are literally dogs in shelters sitting in prison for doing nothing. They're just sitting there because someone I'm gonna get so heated now.
No. Go ahead. And if anything, because I'm probably gonna feed into it, because
I don't want to get hyped.
If anything, though, it's because the people who took them in the first place weren't prepped to have a dog.
No,
it happens to huskies and all kinds of high energy dogs all the time.
Yeah,
they think, oh, it's cute, and then it's too much work to take her for a walk for an hour.
And that's, I don't want to, like, I really will.
You can have your own moment.
No, I don't want to have a moment, but yes, no, I think like, I'd rather than get all hyped up and everything, I just want to encourage people to go to shelters, even if you're not, I can't have a dog, I can't do this. It's like, go to a shelter and go play with them. Go spend an hour taking a dog for a walk. Go give it some love. Foster a dog for 2 weeks, whatever. It's like any little thing helps, because there are so many dogs and cats and other animals, horses. There are people will like hoard horses.
It's amazing how people throw them away too.
I know. Let me just drink my Diet Coke.
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
But I wrote this script called Pitbull as a way to sort of like take all of that stuff that I got going on in here and just like with bodybuilding, with cutting season. It's like I'm just got to tell a story that's important to me.
Yeah.
And see if people respond. And so that's what I would like to work on after cutting season. We were going to make cutting season. I know it's going to happen. And then I want to do it again. Like I just want to keep doing this. I
Yeah.
just want to keep making films. So that's what I'm working on.
I mean, it all sounds amazing. I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
After you film it in November.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, that's sick.
Cool.
Why don't you tell everybody your full name and how to find you? And
My name is Brock Yurich. I really am just on Instagram. At Brock Yurich, BrockYurich. I'm on Twitter. I have Twitter, Brock Yurich on Twitter. I don't do TikTok, and I don't do, what else is there? I don't know. That's it. Yeah, Instagram and Twitter.
Facebook's for like 65 plus now.
Yeah,
so
no, we're not doing Facebook.
we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, no.
Once
Yeah.
they got on it, we left.
I was like,
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's like,
No thanks. You can,
Yeah. So,
Sweet. Well, thank you for sitting down with me, man.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. No,
man.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get out of here.
All right.
Cool. Bye, guys.
Bye.